Hello YouTube, Totalhenry here, back with another episode of what I'm reading and watching. This is the weekly show I do talking about the anime and manga that I've watched over the past week. Every week I have a table of contents in the description down below so you can see what I'm going to be talking about in this video as long with the times for when I'm going to be talking about them so you can watch what you want to watch and not watch what you don't want to watch. You can skip around and feel free to choose what you want to see. Now, Toriko was off this week, so we'll be starting off with Bleach, chapter 623. And this was an okay chapter. I didn't really like it. There was a lot of dialogue. It was a little plot twist at the end, but they hinted at it earlier, and so it didn't really surprise me that much. But other than that, this chapter wasn't really that great. It was just sort of setting stuff up. There are still a lot of Soul Reapers and Quincy's down in the Soul Society, and not at the Royal Palace or the Soul King's Palace. And they need to get up there to where the main action is, so they're trying to get up there. And I can't tell whether the final battle has already started, being this whole war, or whether this is still being set up for the final battle with Ichigo and Yawak and the Quincy. So this was just sort of a transition, building stuff up, heading towards the final chapter. I didn't really enjoy this week's chapter. Next up is One Piece, chapter 783. Speaking of a chapter that I did enjoy, this was a great chapter with a lot of action, and finally, Luffy, Doflamingo, they are fighting, they are exchanging blows. This is what I've wanted for months. This is what everyone has been wanting for months. And the ending, oh my god, it is a great cliffhanger. I was talking about this with my friend today at school. We cannot wait for the next chapter. It is just, the action's incredible, and Oda does a great job of this cliffhanger that it takes two panels for him to set up and immediately wanting more, besides just you want the usual fight to continue. The great cliffhanger here, and you just want to keep reading, you just want to find out more. So great One Piece chapter this week. Next up is Nisekoi, chapter 166. This was a very cute, very cutesy chapter. I'm a little interested in the next week's chapter because Raku has to make a choice. But as I was reading this chapter, I started thinking about how a lot of people don't like Nisekoi because Raku's not choosing a girl. He has all these different girls to choose from, and there are fan bases for Raku Onodera, Raku Chitoge, Raku Marika, Raku Haru. All these different people want various girls to wind up with Raku, and he's not picking anybody. He's not advancing his relationship with anybody all that much. So this chapter sort of makes you a little frustrated that he and Onodera can't get together. They're spending all this time together and nothing is really happening. They both like each other, but they're just not going to say anything. And even though I want Raku Chitoge to be the end result, I want to see something happen. If all of a sudden he told Ondera that he loved her, that would shock me and I would be fine with that. But this chapter is old Nisekoi is back, and kind of frustrates you, and the comedy hasn't been there that the earlier series was known for. And so I was just thinking about this, and just I'm really trying hard to like this series. I'm trying to give it every chance. I was praising Nisekoi a lot like a few weeks ago, and now I'm like down in the dumps again. So I don't know. I'm trying my best to be optimistic and say it's gonna happen. Raku's gonna say it. Raku's gonna say he loves Chitoge or Ondera or Mariko or whatever girl, but I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen with that. So next up is Shokugeki no Soma, chapter 114. This was a great chapter, and I can't wait for the outcome of this contest that Soma's entering in at the French cuisine restaurant. I personally think he's going to win. That is what my prediction is. I don't know enough about food to be able to judge beforehand. Well, he did this. This looks good. Blah blah blah. Frankly, when he brought out his finished plate, the final image of the final images of the chapter was his finished product. It didn't really look that good, but it's hard to draw food in the way that it looks tasty. There were some really cool pages and panels in this chapter. A lot of cool double page spreads. A lot of interesting images. Like Shokugeki no Soma is known for, even though it's a cooking manga, it'll fit like samurai and knights and mermaids and stuff into it, and it feels natural. And they're also very intense. So a lot of intense creative images in this chapter that I really enjoyed. And there's also a little another cool double page spread about his dad that I thought was really cool. So there's a lot to see in this chapter, and there's a lot to hope for in the next chapter, and a lot going on. Next up is My Hero Academia, and like a lot of the other chapters this week, this was a great chapter. This chapter focuses on the fight between Todoriki and Midoriya. I just butchered those names, but it's the kid that's the half fire, half ice, and the main character. Great fight, great chapter, great action. It's one of those sort of classic fights with like the guts and the determination. Like they will each push themselves past their limit. And this is going to be a more than one chapter fight, because by the end of this chapter, you still don't know who is going to win. They both are sort of hiding things. They're both tired. So it's just great. I've wanted to see a longer than one chapter fight for a while. I said that maybe last week or the week before that's what I wanted. I had hoped that this would be a longer fight, and I don't know if it's going to go longer than 2 chapters because they're both tired and worn out. But this is 2 chapters, and I'm going to take this, and I hope that the author keeps making these battles longer and longer, because right now they're a little too short for my taste. So, yep, great Hero Academia chapter. That was chapter 38. Next up is Haikyuu, chapter 153. This was another very good, tense chapter in the final match. I don't have the teams written down, sorry, but everyone reads Haikyuu. You know who's playing, and it's Karasuno's turn to attack. I think next chapter, I think they're going to be on the offensive. I think they're going to score some more points. I mean, they're still down a lot in the first set, but this is a great chapter, great ending, great lead up to the ending. A little different than what I thought, just because they were focusing on one character through the entire chapter, and then another character was the one that wound up making the great save or hit, or I won't tell you what he does, but he makes a great play, just put it that way. And there's not really much more to say, because a lot of this chapter was just about the art and playing a volleyball match, so I can't just hard to talk about, oh, he hit a great bump or spike or set or whatever. But great chapter, great artwork that really captures the dynamic moments, some good double page spreads here. Next up is Black Clover, and 3 chapters today, chapters 5 to 7, and a quick rundown of the earlier chapters. Basically, in these chapters, they were all really good. They introduced some new characters. A lot of the other Black Bull Magic Knights members that you saw but you didn't know their names, those characters get introduced. And a new female character whose name is Noelle Silver, Noelle Silver. She is an interesting character. She can't really control her magic too well, even though she has a lot of magic power. And then she, Asta, and Magna, they all go on the very first mission. So the first few chapters are establishing these characters, showing Asta around. No, this is more like the first chapter is showing establishing characters and showing Asta around like their house. He gets his own room, and sort of introducing this character. Then 6 and 7, they go on their very first mission, and it reminds me of the Naruto Land of the Hidden Mist, where they go. It's their very first mission, and immediately there's a fight like with Zabuza, and in the very opening part of that mission. Here, there's a fight in the middle of the village, and incredible action. And Asta, he just keeps kicking butt like he usually does with his big sword and his magic negating techniques. The Silver, she does something. She's also become a really great character, even though she only appeared like three chapters ago. So there's not a lot of depth to the story yet. Like, the bad guys are not really planning anything. They don't have any big scheme. But I think this is just sort of to show more of the character's power and to help establish these new characters out. And so far, I am really enjoying Black Clover. And it's also interesting that they state earlier in the series, or in these chapters this week, that the Black Bull's Magic Knights are just a group of failures. So these guys are all losers like Ashta. Even if they have magic, they're not really good at it for some reason, or they have like probably some past, or maybe they're a criminal or something. But just right now, it said that they're failures, which I think is interesting. One of the like 12, I believe, Magic Knight sort of groups is just a group of like ragtag team of failures. So I think that's going to be interesting, because they're all really weird characters. Now, the last thing I want to say about Black Clover is I wonder if Silver, Ashta, and Magnet, whether they're going to become sort of like a team, like sort of Team 7 in Naruto, or the team in Fairy Tail of sort of like Natsu, Lucy, Gray, and Erza. Erza. So, because this reminds me a lot of Fairy Tail and a lot of Naruto Black Clover, but it's a great series. I still love it. The art is really interesting. Ashta is a really cool character. So far, the little development has been great, and I think the series definitely has a lot of potential, and you guys should check it out. Now, lastly, I'm going to talk about some anime, and again this week I will be talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. I was off from school last week for spring break, and I probably watched about 45 to 50 episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. I know I don't really have a life, and I rewatched the entire first season, basically from the end of the Fortune Cup to the end of the Battle of the Dark Signers, or Signers, whatever the pronunciation is, and started a few episodes of Season 2 with the Ghosts and Synchro Stealing, Grand Prix, I forget the term, Iliaster, those guys. So I was a few episodes in there, but I mainly want to talk about the end of season 1 with the Dark Signers, and I've seen it before, I saw it again, and I love it. Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, this is probably my favorite, or top 2 favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. Yusei is probably my favorite protagonist. He's really cool. I like his character design a lot, and I really loved the synchro mechanic when it came out, and years later I still love it. So Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds is great. There's a lot of plot. I love plot heavy stories. That's just the kind of thing that I prefer. Plus, the characters are so well done, and there's so much depth to it, even though it's just, in its essence, a anime about card games. And I also like the riding duels, the D-wheelers. They are really cool. A lot of people are like, oh, card games on motorcycles, that's really stupid. The original Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 4 had like motorcycles, and it was stupid, but I like it. I think it's cool. Speed World's a interesting thing. And I also just like I like the character designs. I think their hair is crazy, but it still looks good. As far as the little I've seen of Yu-Gi-Oh! Zeal and Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V, it looks too weird. It's too colorful. This is more dark and gloomy and gritty, and I really like it. So I'm going to keep watching Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. I hope to finish it as soon as possible, but I don't know how many episodes I'll be able to watch now that I'm back in school and I have to do stuff. So anyway, that's been another What I'm Reading and Watching video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I apologize that I won't be posting videos for or a lot of videos for the next week or two, just because I have a lot of artwork for my APR class that I need to do, but I want still to make this video. So these videos will still be coming up, and I have a few other non-Pokemon art videos that I will upload, so stay tuned for that, and goodbye.